truly is Revenge of the Fans. Finally, audiences have had their say with Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars, Rachel Zegler's Snow White, and everything that is not all right with the Walt Disney Company. They have spoken loudly, and they have won. Victory is theirs. Today we'll tell you whether or not anyone at Disney still cares. Hello, folks. It is a dandy of a day. We're happy to come your way from somewhere sunny USA. The studio is glistening as all of you are listening to the truth served up with a capital T. As we get ready to dive in, folks, click that like button, and we'll tell you whether or not Revenge of the Sith is enough to lift Star Wars out of the muck and the yuck that it's been in for over a decade. All right, folks, take a look at this. It's out of the numbers, and we're going to dive deep into this. Deeper than a wave pool, perhaps you might say. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the fact that it is Revenge of the Fans when it comes to Star Wars, and it has beaten Rachel Zegler and also Kathleen Kennedy. That is a twofer we have been waiting for. All right, out of the numbers, if you go down here to number 2 for the weekend, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and its re-release grossed $25.5 million at the domestic box office in only 2,800 theaters. And by the way, those 2,800 theaters did not include many of the premium viewing screens, the PLFs, the top of the tops, the IMAXs, etc. Despite that, despite being relegated to lesser screens often because it's a re-release, $9,100 per theater is what this film from 20 years ago, re-released with no changes made, managed to accumulate $9,100. Well, folks, if we go to Snow White, and yes, this is Disney Snow White from 2025, starring, if you can say that, Rachel Zegler. And by the way, you can say bye-bye to $200 million at the worldwide box office. You can say bye-bye to $100 million at the domestic. And you can say bye-bye to ever catching the Marvels. If we go down here to its first weekend, you'll see that on March 21st, when Snow White landed, it managed to pull in $10,049 per theater. And you might say, well, Pro, that's more per theater than Revenge of the Sith. But the PLFs and the IMAXs matter. Remember that Disney locked up every single PLF essentially because Snow White had no competition. That is not what happened with Revenge of the Sith. And what that means is that if we take the PLFs out of this per theater average, it looks to us like indeed, if you just compare average theater to average theater, that Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith edges it out. And the reason for that is because there's about a 15% on average difference between premium screens and regular screens, which means that Snow White lost to a 20-year-old film in per theater when measured apples to apples. Now, that's not all.
Scroll down just a little bit.
Happy to do so. Here we go. Down to Snow White, I bet.
Where's Snow? Yeah. Because I will point out that in number 12 is The Marriage of Figaro, which was originally premiered by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in 1786.
Yes, I had not thought of that. You're exactly right. That's a re-release.
Yeah, that's what you call a re-release.
It dropped 61%. Oh wow, that's really something. And apparently this gets worse, but the PLF difference is, I think, most striking, because I think a lot of people would have otherwise seen Revenge of the Sith if it had PLF support. I don't think it unfortunately did in a lot of territories and markets. So this film could have done much better if it had PLF support. Unfortunately, it did not have the same rollout as Disney's Snow White benefited from.
And I would bet you a lot of the theaters it played in were dark for the weeks before because of the lack of new product
That's a fair point.
in those multiplexes. They said, hey, well, we can plug this into theater 12, 13, and 14 at every half hour and make some money for a change.
Now, we told you that that Revenge of the Sith defeated Snow White debut week to debut week, okay? And remember, Snow White cost them something like $500 million, production and marketing combined. Revenge of the Sith cost them basically nothing. It's just free money. Now, that's not the only defeat that we get. That's not the only victory we get over someone, because Rachel Zegler clearly defeated by Revenge of the Sith. But also, take a look. Valiant Renegade has this video, folks. We recommend that you go check it out. He has done a phenomenal job with his video Andor Crashes. $650 million Star Wars show draws under 2 million views on premiere. At the same time that Star Wars fans were turning out like crazy for this film that's 20 years old, classic George Lucas Star Wars, they were turning off Andor and Disney Plus, refusing to go check it out. How bad is it, folks? Well, at the same time that Andor is releasing, Disney is releasing a press release praising Star Wars Revenge of the Sith and not Andor. Andor has $650 million at least, probably far more, invested into it. Revenge of the Sith has none, and Disney is stuck dancing for something that George did, not Kathy. What did this defeat? What did Revenge of the Fans defeat? Not only Zegler, but Kathleen Kennedy's Disney Star Wars, all taken down in a single week by something that people truly love. That is the original Star Wars and the prequels. Panel, what say you? Is this the wake-up call that Disney and other studios needed?
I had a. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I had an interesting call that came to me this morning. I answered the phone, and it was my 22-year-old son who lives away from me, and he goes, "Dad, hi, son." He doesn't normally call me. I usually call him and make sure he's doing okay and all that kind of stuff. But I was really
That's how that age is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's out of the blue though. He calls me and he goes, "I have a favor to ask." Well, what's the favor? He goes, "I heard Revenge of the Sith is back in theaters. Can you take me to go see it?" So we are going tomorrow after the pro show in the afternoon at 3:30 to go see Revenge of the Sith, because out of the blue, my son, who I have asked him for every movie, "Hey, do you want to go see Captain America: Brave New World with me?" "No." "Want to go see New Thunderbolts?" "No." I mean, all the stuff that's coming out, I keep asking him if he wants to go see it. And it's like, even the Minecraft movie, he didn't want to see that, which I was surprised because I took my younger son, he loved it. But this one, out of the blue, he calls me to ask if I can take him to go see Revenge of the Sith, because I really want to see it in a movie theater, because I was too young before, because he realized that he was 2 years old when it came out.
Do you think he would?
That's a little young. Yeah.
Would he ask the same thing about the sequels, do you think? Would he be excited if they said Force Awakens coming out, special edition, upgraded,
Nope.
CGI? No, none of that?
He hates those. He can't stand the Rey character. He doesn't like it. I think it's because as he was getting older, of course, I had all of the prequels on DVD, so we were able to watch episodes 1 through 6 as I was bringing him up as he was a young kid, and he has a real love in his heart for the original Star Wars first 6 movies. The whole Anakin from a kid to Darth Vader to being redeemed at the end. That's a good story arc, and it's a long story arc for our character. I don't care that Anakin wasn't portrayed the best by young Jake Lloyd or whatever, but he loves those. And honestly, I mean, this is a kid who he had been in the Star Wars parade when they did that at Hollywood Studios on Star Wars weekends. That was very, very cool. We met, I think his name is Daniel Logan, who played the young Boba Fett in episode 2. Was that? Yeah. Anyway, and Daniel Logan, by the way, super nice guy. So he has an affinity for and a love for the early Star Wars, but when it comes to anything Disney Star Wars, God, it's like it's a completely different franchise to him, and he hates it.
Absolutely. Hangry, I want to come to you next and just get your thoughts on this. The idea that we have finally seen the full force of Revenge of the Fans. They can spin it however they want. They can call people Russian bots and trolls. They can change how Rotten Tomatoes works. They can slime. They can malign. Doesn't matter. They can't take a dime from you without your own willingness to go to the theater. And it turns out people want classic Star Wars. They don't want whatever Kathleen Kennedy has been making.
Well, it's funny because Lucasfilm must be one of the only places where I'm presuming they're frustrated with the success of this film. And like you said before, Pro, this is free money essentially for them. Yet I can imagine that there is significant amounts of gnashing of teeth going on at the moment. And it's the same thing that you've been repeating, that everyone has been repeating for the last, gosh, I don't know, 10 years. This is what the fans want. We keep showing them, we keep telling them what we want. They keep ignoring it. I don't see any reason why they won't continue to ignore this as well. It's just, I don't know at this point what it takes to get through to them.
Yeah, I think this is what is going to finally get through to them, because if you look at the stuff they have coming out for Star Wars, they have the 2 announced movies supposedly that are going to come out, and we're not counting things that are in development, okay? We're not counting that kind of stuff. So if we count only what is actually going into production, you have Starfighter, you have Mandalorian Grogu, and supposedly Ahsoka Season 2. Everything else is like super cheap cartoons. There's no announcements for new Disney Plus shows. Like, this has reached the end. This has reached the end. So we're not getting new stuff. They're pretending you're getting new stuff, but I think that it's enough. And I think that the message has finally been delivered fully, and there's no more argument to be made. I mean, I guess that the influencers out there, they can say, oh, well, it's still just a minority of crazy, MAGA types. I don't think so. I think it's the vast majority want to go back to what made Star Wars wonderful. That's what I think.
You're right. I hope you're right.
Now, Martin, we did not get your thoughts yet. I'd like to get your thoughts on the idea that this is the final answer from the fans. It's resonating. They can't escape it. They can put more Zeglers out on Snow Whites. They can keep trying with all the tripe that is Star Wars under Kathleen Kennedy. This is what people want. This is a film that's about self-sacrifice versus resentment. And when you take those things to take those 2 things to the extremes, the sin versus the virtue taken to the extremes. And then George Lucas was wise enough to tie that into a brotherly friendship and how that plays out. And it's genius. It's better than anything we've seen. Martin, is this where the light bulbs finally turn on in Hollywood?
I don't think it is. I think that Hollywood, and I think Disney leads the way in this, Disney Lucasfilm, they are true believers in their cause. And so they may re-release classic Star Wars and it may do great, but they will always say to themselves, well, that's just because X or Y. It's not because what we've done is bad. It's just that is for that time and that's for those people, but that generation is going to be, they're not going to be engaging as much anymore. They're moving on to other things, and we are building a Star Wars for the future. And we're picking the fans that we want, and those are the people that we're going to cater to. Whether or not those people actually exist, Lucasfilm seems to believe they exist. My 14-year-old son and I have recently started watching through all of Star Wars. And by all of Star Wars, I mean in chronological order, everything that, like, we began with episode 1. I asked him if he wanted to begin with The Acolyte. He said, absolutely not. I said, do you want to, when we get past Return of the Jedi, do you want to watch The Mandalorian? Yeah, I want to watch The Mandalorian all the way through where Luke Skywalker shows up and saves everybody. Okay. Do you want to keep going on? Do you want to see the sequel trilogy? He said, nope, we're going to stop at Mandalorian season 2.
Yep, no more. We're not doing dirty hobo Luke.
Right. This is a 14-year-old boy, and I go out of my way to not say negative things about any of these entertainment companies because I want him to develop his own personality. I don't want him to just try to clone mine just because he's looking for my approval. But he and his friends just are not interested in Disney Lucas Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. The Kathleen Kennedy era has been an absolute travesty for this franchise. It was, folks, the operative word here, was the most valuable, popular franchise on the planet 15 years ago. And you can say, well, Marvel's a Disney thing and Marvel took it away. Neither of these franchises today are anywhere close to what they were. And it's because of what Kathleen Kennedy did to Star Wars. And then for some reason that is hard to fathom outside of absolute ideology, Kevin Feige looked at what was happening at Lucasfilm and said, we'll do that too. Let's do that too. How about an MCU? Who wants that? Let's have at it. Boy franchises, take that. All right. Well, they invaded it with femininity better than they did with the Boy Scouts. And we're shouting out now, hey, didn't work so well. Maybe you need to get back to what you did before when fans said, oh, well, I got to go see that right now. It's not what they're saying anymore. Final thoughts, panel.
Anakin, have you ever heard the story of Lean Kennedy, the not so wise?
Yeah.
I didn't think so. It's a Sith tale.
Think about that. No, hold on a second. Think about it. That was this cool thing with Darth Plagueis, right? That was supposed to be. Turns out he's a creeper watching two emos take a bath in the ocean. Oh, excuse me, Anakin. Did you ever hear the story about the creeper who hid in the bathrooms in the caves and watched, Amanda Stenberg and Darth Emo take a salt bath?
There was a time when everybody was very hungry for any Star Wars that they could possibly receive, and now I think that hunger still exists. Is somewhat, it obviously has diminished to a degree, but I think it still exists in some circles. But it's for good Star Wars. It's for George Lucas's Star Wars, not whatever Kathleen Kennedy has turned it into. So this will be. There's a saying, right? How do you make $1 million? Well, you just give Kathleen Kennedy $4 billion. So there you go.
There you go. Give her 4, she'll give you 1. Helping Hollywood produce a product that you want to consume. That's what we do each and every day, folks. And this time, it's time to, say goodbye. We know, but don't cry. No, for we will have more videos on the way. We love to bring those videos and that information. And by the way, if you'd like even more, consider going to the Patreon page. It's www.patreon.com/WDW Pro. It's where we put out stuff exclusively there that we simply can't put out in other places for whatever reason, be it because it's too spicy or because, perhaps we're working to corroborate it. But you can find out things early and first over there. Folks, we surely have had a great time spending time with you. Consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. And drop a comment right on down below. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Hey, Floral, guess what?
You put a fork in Pro's microwave again.
No, that was yesterday.
I don't know that what.
Oh, I've decided to give up on torturing Jonas.
What? Why? In the same way the cat sleeps like 20 hours a day, that was like your purpose.
I know, but I've decided there's bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
Like Lorne. Think about it. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite, and frankly, he has almost no weaknesses I can find. Except that he's really smart.
So, you want to annoy the one panelist without a single flaw, because he's smart.
Yeah, like that winged statue at that fancy Paris museum thingy. I want to break the one thing that everyone loves most.
So, kind of like the opposite of Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to see her all the time at family reunions anyway.
You get to see Rachel Zegler?
Yeah. She's a total troll. Lives under a bridge, harasses billy goats, the whole 9 yards.
It all makes sense now.
Speaking of which, maybe she'll get me... call her on my... I'm gonna call her and see if she'll be in the next Indiana Jones. She should be the next Indiana Jones. That'll totally destroy Lord. He loves Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, Rach. I've got a cool idea for you that involves a whip and snakes.
I love that description. It's perfect.
I know, right? Weird, as we always say.